This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pointy Bakery. If you're located in the Pointy area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pointy Bakery, say what's up to Arvil, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great. You know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself, definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. Okay, wait, it's perfect. This is perfect. All right, cool. So, all right, before we jump into like the whole digital world like weirdness that's going on right now and like the confusion, because I'm seeing it too. But I just want to give a quick shout out to Arvil because I was messaging him this morning, and so I posted this like little quote thing about like how a life lived for art is can't remember. It's like something about it's like the best endeavor or something. I can't even remember what I write, but like it was something about like art, okay, and how like it's like the only worthy endeavor. That's what it was, like pursuing art, and then I think that, but it's like I'm never direct when I'm saying something. It mean like what does art mean, right?
Yeah,
we always like it's like thank you, exactly. You get it.
The work that you do could be art.
Thank you, exactly. Because like when Wob liked it right away, and I'm like I knew you'd like it because you get it, like as an artist. But then people are probably like, well, I'm not an artist. It's like no, you are, but you just don't know you are. It's like the boxes we were saying. Are you spiritual or religious? Remember that excerpt?
Right.
It's like, well, what do you mean by that, right? So like when I say art, it's like the feeling. It's not like, oh, I painted a picture, because you can paint a picture and you're not an artist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there are people who work like it's in maybe this is the better word. It's like intrinsic motivation. You know, you're not like guided by something that's like, oh, I really want to get this person's approval or I really want to get this money or like whatever, right? And if you just intrinsically motivate yourself through every single action, it's like then you won't have wasted your life, right? Because you're like, oh, I wanted to do that, so I did it, you know? And it got me thinking because he just surprised me this morning. He's become a climber. And I was like, I had no idea. Because I messaged him something about like my tattoos that I was like, yo, check this out. And he's like, yo, check this out. And I was like, oh, do you like PewDiePie? Because you know PewDiePie's doing like the climbing.
Oh no, I haven't watched this.
Oh, okay. So he's a deep climber now. Like PewDiePie is jacked and he's just doing like climbing. And I've just been like obsessed. But like the closest one to me is like 40 minutes away. And it's like, I'm doing so many other things that like I can't commit to that. But at Morningside, like near the Walmart, they have a rock climbing gym, and it's just like 5 minutes for Arvil to drive there, and it's $85 per month. So it's like, dude, that's like nothing. I'm paying like $214 for jujitsu, bro, and that's one activity. I got all these other activities. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, but like that's a great price. And he's like, there's one that's open 24 hours. This one specifically, like 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Right, and not to like give a plug to climbing, but it's more like, that's the intrinsic motivation. When he sent me this, I was so hyped for him. I'm like, dude, you're gonna be so sick in a year. Like, and I think that's what like the flame is. When I'm like, oh, God, light my fire. It's like there's like this intrinsic motivation that we feel. You know what I'm saying? And then like you just go with it, and then you can transfer that feeling to so many other things. You know. But I feel like a lot of people have lost that. Like what? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if you get bombarded by life or you're just too tired, but then you're kind of stuck, right? You got to find things to motivate you in life, kind of thing.
Or like, what's the point, right? Yeah. Like, that's why I was so stoked about that, because I was like, I hadn't heard from this guy in a while, so I was like, okay, like, are you doing anything? Because it would suck to just be like, oh, what are you up to? You know, like, oh, same old same, you know, we're gonna pay these bills, and I'm like, oh, I was talking to this like old lady who. Old ladies like love me for some reason, but like I was in the elevator with her. I'm like, "Oh, just come from work." And she's like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Yeah, I remember you said like you worked um like at these places or whatever, and she works on the weekends." And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, totally." And then she's like, I just gotta pay these bills, that's life though. And I was like, "Yeah, it's life." And I was like, "That's not the life I want though."
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was the ethos of the time, right? Like our parents were like, "That's life. Gotta do it." Like, "Oh, you
Sure.
gotta pay for," like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like that was the prevailing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean that's there too, but I guess within that you have to find things that you want to do, right? I guess. Like you wouldn't even know like for my dad. Yeah, sure, like that was the thinking, but it was also like Saturdays he was going skiing
Oh, damn, I didn't know that.
in the winter. Yeah, so,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like cross country skiing or that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, see, it's these sleepers that you just don't even expect. Like when your dad was like, I can't remember, he was having a conversation with me about traveling because your dad travels a lot. So it's like, I was like, oh, that's really cool that you have this thing. Like, you know what I mean? There's something else there.
There's just yeah, 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 yeah. Young spirit still there. That's
Yeah,
it's
dude. I think that's what it is, man. Because like, it's like I don't care if you do jujitsu or like I don't care if you paint or like do a podcast or like climb like art. It's like just do something
mhm,
because then you can feel that something that that person's into, and then me as a person, I can tap into that feeling
right.
because it doesn't matter. Like like what one of my friends is really into the Olympics. I was gonna ask you about the Olympics, but I was like, oh, we both know. I don't think you care from like a because you're just like in the sphere of caring, but you don't really care about the Olympics, and I
Sure.
just blatantly don't care about the unless you do. Do you care about the Olympics?
Uh, it depends what you mean by care. I guess it's like
Are you like, oh my god, Team Canada won, yeah?
I mean, yeah, there's some that's cool, but like I'm not
No, 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 but
following
no, no, but see,
following.
the way you did that, you're like, "That's cool." I'm like, "Yeah, me too." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, that's cool." Like, I don't care. I didn't know you were such a big fan of pole vaulting. You know what I mean? Like, when people
Sure.
are like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
people are like, "Oh my god, dude, they just won the rugby game." I'm like, "When is the last time you watched rugby?" They're like, "Never, only till now." And you're like, "Okay, so you don't know the
Yeah, for me
rules."
it was different because I didn't really watch the Olympics. I think I just put it on like the other day, and I was like, just remembered because I went to Paris. I was like, oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Versailles. Oh,
okay,
yeah,
cool,
it's
okay,
more
so
like a
yeah. Yeah,
memory
yeah.
trail, especially for this Olympics. But yeah,
Yeah, okay, okay, so that makes sense. So I knew you'd be like that, so like, we never talked about the Olympics. I was gonna bring it up, but it's like, oh, we just hate on the Olympics if we brought it up. But so one of my friends is like, they're like, surprisingly into it, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then they were like, "Oh, sorry, I know you don't care." And I was like, "No, I care that you care because it's cool to see somebody's, like, passion for a thing.
hmm
Because then you're like, "Oh, that's like, it's the stoke." You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's one of the things that I learned from, like, snowboarders, like, hanging around them. They're all just, like, chasing the stoke,
hmm
and I was like, "What did you," like, I didn't even understand what that meant until I was, like, hanging out with them because they were like, "Yeah, chase the stoke." I'm like, "What is the stoke?" And they're like stoke a flame. And I was
Right.
like, "Oh, we're talking the same language here, like, gotta light my fire." I'm literally saying the same thing,
hmm
but it's
Just
like, I
new
didn't,
words. Yeah, yeah,
new words, like, I was like,
yeah,
"What's a stoke?" Right? And, but, like, the word is stoke, like, you can stoke a flame, like, it's actually a
yeah, yeah,
word.
yeah, yeah. No, no, it's not a real. Yeah, it's a real word. It's just how they're using it.
It's, like,
Yeah.
gnarly. You're like, "What does that even mean?" Like, that's crazy. Like, I use that word, but it's like, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it an actual, So, yeah, so, like, it's cool to see people who are stoked about certain things, and then, like, you can gravitate towards it, but it's really weird when you talk to somebody who doesn't have any stoke. Like, they have no flame,
Sure. Yeah.
because 'cause you're like, "I don't even know how to connect with you." That's when you have, those empty conversations about weather.
hmm
Like, when you're in an elevator with other people and you're just like, "Oh, it's hot today." It's because you don't know anything about each other, so you're just like,
Yeah.
it's like, "Alright, we're just gonna fill the void." I just, like, sit there silently and just, like, grin, like, "Whatever." It's a
hmm
meditation practice for me, you know? It's awkward, but like, if you start talking to them and they're like, "Oh, I really love baking cakes," and you're like, "Oh, dude, tell me about that." And
Right.
then you're like, "Oh, yeah, man, like, you the best tasting cake ever, blah, blah, blah." And then, like, let's say you're alright, let's not take an elevator. Let's say you're at, like, a dinner party or something, and then you're just trying to connect with people and try and talk to them, and it's just, like, weather talk, and you're just like, "Bro, what am I doing here?"
hmm
You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's it's not like, I don't care because it's like, okay, that's, like, 1 hour of my time, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever, of my life, whereas, like, the rest of my life is centered around like Stoke, right? And and for me, it's more like sad because you're like, I don't know what your life is like when we're away from each other.
Mhm.
But again, if you're playing the video game, it's like you're actually an NPC, so it doesn't really matter to me because like right, because like superposition and like quantum physics,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
only going to render unless I interact with you,
Sure.
right? So from that perspective, it's like whatever. But like if you think about it, like what is your home life like when you're not with me? Like, are you just bored all the time? Are you just chasing? Like maybe that's why people are just like mind-numbingly chasing. What did the headline say? Or I'm just gonna repeat that to you.
Mhm.
Because they're not like sentient or conscious. You know what I'm trying to say? Because
Yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't have the flame, if you don't have like the stoke, then you're not conscious about anything. Because it's like, do you even know what you're living for?
Sure.
Like you can have it for a baby. Like
Yeah,
friggin'
yeah, yeah.
some parents are just like some parents are legit parents. You're like, oh man, you love that kid, but that's your stoke. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Mhm.
But then like it's the drudgingness of it all that's just so depressing to me. And you're just like, I don't want to talk to you, bro.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like when you're like, oh, the vibes are off. It's like that's what we
Mhm.
mean,
Mhm.
you know? Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people don't even like I feel like that's a conscious thought. You have to be like, what because in order to realize that you have to be like, what do I like? Okay, who am I? There's so many questions to unpack, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not just like, what do you like to do? It's like, well, first, who are you?
Mhm.
And then from there, it's like, what are your tolerances? What, you know what I mean? Like, what is your threshold for risk? What is your capacity? Because all these things, like, it's a trade off,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
There's this thing in like business called like an opportunity cost where if I buy one thing over another, the cost was not buying the other thing. So like I lost the opportunity.
Mhm.
So like a lot of people, in order to do something that they're stoked about, it's like, well, what's the cost that they have to give up? So it's like, okay, I really want to go rock climbing, right?
Yeah.
But then I have to lose time spent on like watching my kid or like preparing dinner or you know what I mean? Lack of sleep. You're giving up one thing for another thing. And it's like, what is your risk tolerance to give that up?
Mhm.
But you have to know a lot about yourself,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah. And one other thing about this, I think that now that lives are changing, we're all seeing different paradigms of how people can live their life. You know what I mean? Like have a kid, don't have a kid, buy a home, don't buy a home, work a job that's like set or work a job that's more risky. You know what I'm saying? Like you can watch literally on YouTube different people living like the girl who travels itchy boots. Bro,
Oh,
what's your
yeah,
life like?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are you doing? Like you definitely not owning a home. Like you're not building a family. It's so unconventional.
Sure. Yeah.
But that might inspire you to be like, "Oh, I always wanted to do that."
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you'll like pursue that
Mhm.
because you have like a new example, right? Of how to
Yeah.
live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that with the internet, it's giving us more like options and different ways of life. It's like you don't have to do that, bro. You can like try
Mhm.
this new thing and find your stoke in a different way.
Yeah.
But with that, I think that society will have to fully change in order to do this. And we were talking about this after the podcast last week, which is the old programming on the new hardware.
Yes. Yeah.
Remember that? Or yeah, old software and new hardware. It's like you need to update, bro. You need to update this software. You're like, I can't. The hardware doesn't comply or whatever. Or like old hardware and new software. I guess that's what it is. Old
Yeah,
hardware because our bodies are still the same and like our set patterns are still the same, but then you need some new software, right? But like you'll need to upgrade your hardware in order to get the new software,
mhm.
right? Like I can't get like my Mac. The reason why I need to buy a new one is because I can't upgrade to the new iOS and like the processors in there are too old. So that's almost like how we're living our life right now, with the voting and like the taxes and like the cities. Like we're if you really look at it, this whole inclusivity thing's a paradigm shift, which is software,
Mhm.
right? It's like it's not hardware. I mean, technically you can upgrade your hardware. Like that's what like people like, transgenders, they can switch gender and you're like, oh, okay, that's new, right? Like you can fully shift your hardware. But like I think it's more of a software issue we're running up against now. For like these new ways of life.
Sure. Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
It's like, why do you need like, if you're building all these homes or, like, these office towers, but then we work remotely, it's like, okay, people don't wanna work in an office, so they wanna go remote. Okay, you kinda wasted the money on the office. You know what I'm saying? Like, our hardware is, like, old software related,
Hmm.
but we're requiring new software, but, like, we're not set up in that way,
Yeah.
right? Um, and with that, the perils of the internet. We're both seeing some craziness this week. You wanna talk about the Olympics? I wanna talk about Kamala Harris. We'll go with the Olympics first.
No, well,
Go.
mine was like in the opening ceremony. How people don't know.
The Christ thing?
Yeah,
The apostles? Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
but
What about
the
it?
but the thing is, it wasn't Christ's thing though. It's Dionysus.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay. Alright, what we're talking about here is misinformation due
Yeah,
to the internet, right? It's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because, like, I know, a lot of things are just getting overturned now, and
Or
I'm like, "Wait, I
it's
thought
not
Roland did."
misinformation. It's also a lack of knowledge of people's own history.
Okay,
So
cool. Alright, so let me preface this because I know where you're going. Um, everyone got pissed because they thought it was about Christ's Last Supper,
right,
and then the whole internet was blowing up.
sure.
And now you're saying, go ahead.
That the Last Supper was a copy of Dionysus.
Right. And if you just look into it, you're like, wait a minute. I'm not mocking the Last Supper. I'm like reflecting this other thing that it's
Yeah,
supposed to
and,
be.
like you got to think about it too. Olympics is from where?
Uh
Greece,
Europe. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
Greek mythology.
Oh, so they're right. Oh, dude, I have
The
a perfect
context was always
context.
Greek.
I have a perfect example of this. In Japan, you know or Japan, India, the swastika symbol
Yeah.
is actually a symbol for power. So when I was reading the like manga for or manga for Naruto,
Mm-hmm.
the one of the characters has a swastika on their head. And when I
Mm-hmm.
first saw it, I was like, ooh, Nazis. And then like you look into it and you're like, oh no, there's a symbol for power. And Hitler actually stole that and then turned it on its side. And that's what made the quote unquote
It was like
swastika.
it was a symbol that was used worldwide. There was a lot of things
Yeah.
that had that symbol before it became whatever Hitler did to it.
Yeah.
That's what changed it, especially in the Western world. It's still used in the Eastern world.
Yeah, it was exactly. And this is what was interesting about that too, because a lot of people think that Hitler was, well, it's not even think, it's like 100%. He was into the occult, which is like hidden knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just sounds kind of like freaky, but it's just like not non-mainstream information. So like the mainstream information is, oh, you're copying the Last Supper. And you're like, no, the occult information is that if you look into the history of this, it's actually a copy of a copy. Like the Dionysus thing is a reflection.
Sure.
Oh no,
Right.
sorry. The Last Supper is a reflection of Dionysus.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
real meaning behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's the one of the big controversies
Yeah.
you were
One of the
talking about?
ones that was like way off because even when they posted it, they mentioned that it was Dionysus. Somehow the internet went in another direction and just thought it was
Okay,
mocking
dude,
Christianity.
are we in some psyop? No, for real though, like we're in some crazy psyop right now.
uh
No, but like for real, think about this. Like you can just change information because people don't read the
yeah, they
full
don't.
thing. If you said it was in the article, I'd have been like, oh, they already said it in the article.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It,
Uh, yeah, you know?
to the point where the Olympics had to apologize, even though that was not the actual information that was said. It just
Yeah.
became the new truth.
Okay. And then this is when you talk to other people and you're like, oh, dude, you're in the Matrix and I can't talk to you. Like if I open my mouth, it's gonna be a can of worms that I'm just like, dude, I tried this so many times in like even in professional settings, is the worst in professional settings because I thought I was like, well, like we live our lives as a reflection of how we think the world. No, sorry. We interact with the world based on how we think of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought because you and I are always pushing that like level of questioning, like I'll say something, you're like, you're wrong. And I'm like, okay, let me look at it. I'm like, oh, I was wrong. And then like,
Mm-hmm.
let me change this information. Like I thought that's how people were operating. And then you go into the like quote unquote professional world and you're like, oh, dude, like, this is a hobby. Like, looking into information is a hobby, bro.
Hmm.
Like, people don't look further, and then they can just, like, spiral into, like, a hate thing, and you're just like, "Oh, I wanna just tell you that you're wrong, but then if I tell you you're wrong and to look at it in this way, like, you will you'll shun me. You'll
Hmm.
ostracize me." Oh, we talked about this before. It's like, in group, out group, like, you don't
Sure.
wanna be the only one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're just, like, pushing narratives, bro, like, nobody read the article on that thing, but I'm guilty of it too. I wanna say that because, I know what the next thing you're gonna bring up is, and I spread that disinformation too, and I had to go back to the person. I was like, "Actually, I read this article. I'm sorry, I was wrong about that thing." Are you gonna
Sure.
talk about the boxer?
Oh, yeah. Sure. I forgot about that.
Oh,
I told you that one already. I guess. Right? Didn't I say that
no,
last
no,
week?
no, no. Yeah, you did off
Yeah.
the podcast, but now it's being corrected on social media.
Right. Okay.
So, like, but not really. Some people still don't get it.
So people they'll believe the first information that they had read. So
Yeah,
it's like how you. I guess people don't understand how to read an article, even with headlines, when they put in quotation a biological male, but
yeah.
also it's from another person's view, another person's view. So it's like you're not actually reading the actual, like, did it actually say biological male, or did it say some other information? People are just
Yeah.
implying that X and Y means biological male.
So somebody on social media who I follow was like, "I don't care." So, like, that had come out, right? And then they're like, "I don't care, and XY is still born a male." And I'm like, "Okay, yes, I get where you're if you wanna draw the line there, but,
Mhm.
like, aren't we going to draw the line with genitalia?" Like,
Yeah, that's
okay,
what I
I
said.
get
Which
it.
one? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like, which line you gonna draw it on, bro? Like, when he was like the person who, like, posted that, they're like, "XY is a male," and I'm like, "But if they're born with the genitalia of a female and the body of a female,
So what he's implying is that
was
then,
that e
uh, what's the word? Like, yeah, men. Then his view, men can have babies because
True, true. Yes, this is correct. Men can have babies because the woman was born with XY chromosome, quote, unquote, "male," but
yeah.
then she's born as a female with reproductive organs for a female.
Hmm.
So then if where are we gonna draw the line, bro? So are you gonna say that she's a male? Okay, she can have a baby, so men can have babies then.
That's what he's saying.
Like, technically, the argument is correct
Yeah.
if men can't have babies, but you just said that she's a man because it's an XY chromosome. I will go with genitalia, bro. Like, what are your reproductive organs? And then that will infer your biological process, not your genetics.
Hmm.
Because even if it's like, okay, um, let's say, what is it, XX chromosome for women?
Sure.
Sure, I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
scientific.
Yeah. I think.
But
Yeah.
like, let's say I was born with XX and I had the genitalia of a male. There is no way I'm going to have a baby if my entire body is based off of like male reproductive organs.
Hmm.
So under that understanding, what you just said, maybe that's why they have the pregnant man emoji.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought that was a bloody joke. I was watching Joe Rogan. I think I was texting you guys, right? I was like, or so he said, like, when you type in like, "Oh man, pregnant," or something like that, and then like, wait, an emoji popped up, and you click on it. It's like, wait, there's a pregnant man emoji. You find
Hmm.
this out by accident. I was like, no way. So I checked it out on my phone. I was like, wow, there's a pregnant man emoji. So
Yeah.
so that person that was like, oh no, that's a that's a female because of the XY chromosome.
Hmm.
It's like your 2 arguments don't even make sense. Like, are you against this inclusion or are you for the inclusion? Because you yourself are confused by this.
It's more like simple understanding. It's easy to
Yeah,
just make it this one way and just simpler. I think it's just too complicated.
I think so too. And this is the thing, there's a cut up I put of us like Kakashi and Obito from Naruto. They're arguing, and then the headline I put is like, "Life is lived in the gray."
Hmm.
So and I was like, "Oh, if you're paying attention, you'll realize this is true." So it's like, that's a gray moment, bro. Like, but he was trying to make it black and white. It's like,
Hmm.
no, really, like life is very gray. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
thou shalt not kill. Okay, why are we going to war?
Hmm.
But you know what's crazy? If you just ask somebody that, like I've actually seen this. I think I even did this to my parents. Like this is where they were like, shut up and clean your room. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, like, what do I do with this? But like, I was like, hey, mom, one of the 10 commandments is like, thou shalt not kill. Why do we go to war? And she's like, because you have to protect the peace. Something like that. It was like, well, what if something, I'm like, okay, but God said, don't go kill people. So what is it? And then that's the moment where you're like, oh, it's gray. It's like, who's telling you what? It's like the art thing. It's like a life lived for art. And you're like, well, what do you mean by art, bro?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
always like, what do you mean by that?
Mhm.
But I guess, like, does that mean that context is what is most what's crazy though? If you cut up our conversation in a very specific way, it could make us sound like we are super, like,
Yep.
ignorant.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you listen to the full arc of the thing. The context matters, bro.
Mhm.
But, okay, so, like, context does matter. Well, is that the main thing? Like, does context rule above all else?
Well, I don't know what you mean by rule above all else.
It's like,
I think
oh,
context is very important because a lot of things do get misconstrued by just clips.
I agree with this. But then the argument could be made, then look at Hitler's context.
Mhm.
But if you look at Hitler's context, like, nobody thinks they're a bad person. Nobody's like, I
It,
mean, some people, I'm
you
sure
know,
some
it's so
people
funny.
actually.
I've been I've been trying to mention this for, but I keep forgetting each time. But now that we
Oh, okay.
actually bring it up, Hitler, that I remember. There's a good documentary on Netflix. Just goes through the whole trial, what happened in the early times, in Germany, how that happened, like where, like how he got his power. Because how do you convince people that this guy's.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's a very good, interesting documentary. Like before, he never ever wanted. Well, I don't want to say it never ever, but like he never thought about running or being in the military or anything like this. First thing,
Oh,
one of his first things that he always wanted to do, he was a painter. He was an artist.
what?
Yeah, it just, but he couldn't draw people. It just, at the time, he could only draw buildings, I guess, but that wasn't the thing that was people cared
Okay.
about, and it wasn't working. That career, so he was in a, in a gutter in a sense, just like trying to figure out something to do, and then he was always a German, but it was like you have to understand what was going on at the context of the time, um, who was in power, and okay, oh, then like how you fall into that same thing where it's like who to blame for this issues, but it's not the true place where you're blaming. It just that becomes your uh, part of you. It's like okay, I think this makes sense. This is why I'm not winning in life.
Dude, that's trippy. No, it's trippy because it's like that humanizes him.
Yeah.
But it's just like the Dahmer thing. Remember, you're like, people didn't like it because they humanized Dahmer. Like, no, he's an evil person. And you're like, if I was born with those same circumstances, I could very well have been you, bro.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think that it's tough. Like, I think that we all have a way that we believe we should live our life. And then it's really just about finding people that also agree with you. And then, like, you choose, right? It's like
Hmm.
we all think that there's right and wrong, right? But in the animal kingdom, there is no right and wrong. We only
Sure.
place this upon ourselves. Like with the whole UAP thing right now, everyone's talking about how like they could be spiritual beings. It's explaining a lot of the Bible. And then I'm like, I think you're co-opting the UAP thing because they're like, oh, angels and demons are actually aliens and like
Sure.
all this stuff. But I'm like, I think you're co-opting this, man. Like, I think you're anthropomorphizing
Hmm.
UAPs just like you anthropomorphize like everything,
Yeah. Right.
And it's like if you anthropomorphize it, then you create morality. But morality is a human invention.
Hmm.
There is no morality for an animal.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but really
It's
though,
yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
still
It's
like
just instinct, right? They're just running on
it's just
instinct.
instinct, right? Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So like, but what is your moral standard? What code do you live by?
Hmm.
And then that infers. So like these killers, like I don't know what their code was. I don't know what they really believed in. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like I'm not saying that what they did was right, but I'm also not saying what they did was wrong. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know them. I get to choose through my sentience, do I agree with you or do I want to stop you?
Hmm.
But you can believe as much as you believe, and I'll believe as much as I believe. And then when we fight, we're gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
only true thing is like battle.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like going to war, literally going to war.
Hmm.
You know, like Al Qaeda and stuff. They had, if you read Looming Tower, you're like, you guys had some reasons. Okay, I see what you're saying. You know, and what was that thing that's coming up now? I don't know if it's true though. Again, it's headline, but like a lot of people are reading like um Osama bin Laden's manifesto or something, and it's like a lot of millennials or like Gen Zers or something are like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Like if you look at the bad guys in movies, a lot of them. Okay, let's take an example so people are not like, oh, you're just like making that up. So like Fight Club, bad
Hmm.
guy, right? You're like, oh, why you want anarchy? The whole point of the movie is he didn't want us to be enslaved by debt.
Right.
And now we're like, actually, that makes a lot of sense. You know,
Hmm.
debt enslavement. Or like I'm watching Naruto again, Obito and Madara. So like their main objective is world peace, right? But so they had two strategies. Either we collect all the tailed beasts and then we create the ultimate weapon so then nobody can fight against us and we rule the world.
Hmm.
The biggest stick will rule the world, right? It's like world peace, man, chill out. We'll kill you. And you're like, all right, cool, cool, cool. I won't. And then that failed. So they're trying to put everyone under like a genjutsu, which is like a mind trick, right?
Right.
And like people are like, but that's not real. It's like the Matrix, basically. And they're like, that's not real reality. And they're like, but we get world peace. So
Hmm.
it's like, ooh, do you want world peace or do you not want world peace? You know what I mean? It's like it's always gray. It's like
Yeah.
their context really, like it's just, yeah, context really. Everyone thinks they're doing the right thing,
Yeah.
you know, but freaking, you know what's crazy though? The people who can manipulate that feeling, where it's like cult leaders, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, oh, just believe in me, give me all your money, it'll be for God. And you're like, oh yeah, of course I want to do that. But it's just mind spells. Like these are all just genjutsu artists, bro. Like
Hmm.
cult leaders are just really good at putting you under like a mind spell.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then they use it for nefarious means. But it's like, okay, then people are like, but they're evil. And you're like, yeah, but or did they just want more money for their family? Maybe they were poor. Maybe they struggled. You know, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Again. Yeah. Why are they in that position? They don't want to be poor again because they've seen that or gone through that.
yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I never want to starve ever. That's literally what happened for why the Akatsuki and Naruto, like the people I just mentioned,
Hmm.
who are trying to like bring peace on Earth. So like one of the main guys, he witnessed his family be killed in front of him, and he didn't want that anymore. He's like, I want world peace. I don't want
Right.
people to fight anymore. You're like, oh yeah, it totally makes sense.
Hmm.
Like your family was literally slaughtered in front of you.
Yeah.
I get it. But then later they're like, you're an evil person. You're like, we got to stop you. It's like, how would you feel if your family was slaughtered in front of you?
Hmm.
You know? And they even brought this up. It's like they're talking about like an eye for an eye in Naruto, and they're saying like, if I go to war with you, chances are I will kill your family. And then if you see your family killed, you'll want to kill my family. And
Hmm.
then if you kill my family, well, I'm gonna get people to help me to kill not just you, but other people that you know, it's like, and it just becomes this crazy
Yeah.
uh, tornado of violence.
Hmm.
But both sides thought they were right, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, all right, you ever see one of those war movies about terrorists, and then they're like, it happened a lot during, like, the 2010s era. They showed a lot of, like, terrorists where, like, their family was killed, and you're like, "Ooh, I get it."
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
there's, like, a UAP movie oh, sorry, not UAP, sorry, UAV movie, like, drone strikes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't do you remember that movie? You know what I'm talking about, right? Where it was, like, a drone strike, and then, like, his family was killed by the drone strike, and then he wanted revenge, but he was, like, the terrorist.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it Jack Ryan? Was it in Jack Ryan?
No. Well, it might have been in there, but there was another movie where, I can't remember the movie, like, this is what happened, though. That movie ended with, like, them coming out of a box. Like, so they were talking about all these drone strikes, like, "We got a drone strike, we got a drone strike," and then, like, the 2 people who were doing drone strikes were just on a joystick in, like, a little
Yeah. Yeah.
box room, and then you realize, like, "Oh, we're just playing video games, bro." Like, but on the ground for the Afghanis, people are, like, literally dying, and they just come out of the box, they're like, "Mm, well, now my shift's over."
Yeah,
You remember that movie, right?
I don't know again because just remembering Jack Ryan because there was that
Oh, okay.
uh in the drone strikes a lot.
Yeah.
It's how that guy was who became a terrorist. How did he become a terrorist? Like that was part of that. Yeah.
All right. So Tom DeLonge said this, and I'm like, I totally agree with you. Art can change the world. The reason why, and he was like, nobody would have known about Oppenheimer until Christopher Nolan made Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
want to
think
say
about it.
nobody, but yeah, sure.
No,
Like
no,
a
but like
bigger audience.
the main, you're like, who's Oppenheimer? You're like, some people be like, yeah, he created the atomic bomb, but you didn't capture the emotion in that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Sure.
didn't realize what he was going through. You
Mm-hmm.
thought he just made the bomb, and they're like, wait a minute, they did this trial for him, like whatever, whatever. And like through movies and like TV shows, and like that's how you change culture, bro. Like he's really talking about UAPs. Like, how do you bring UAPs, UFOs, aliens to the masses? And he was like, you just put it in movies, and then people get used to it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's real. You're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't. If I just told you like, hey man, aliens exist, you're like, oh dude, what's going on, right? But if you're like, hey, watch these movies, and they're like, yeah, that's kind of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, cool. Like Men in Black. Oh, they're coming for tourism. Makes sense. I would too.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know, art, man. Like, it's like how we'll program our lives. Yeah. Anything else about the Olympics?
No, no, that was the main thing.
Oh, just that. Yeah. The two. Oh no, you know what? You know what? The third thing is that just came out this week, and I'm like, that's not good for that person's psyche. The breakdancing one. Have you seen all? I'm pretty sure I sent you one.
Which one?
Like the one like where they're like, when your kid says, "Hey mom, check this out," and then it's like the breakdancing girl in the Olympics
Yeah,
because they
yeah, yeah.
just introduced, but it's like moves that anyone could do.
Yeah, yeah, I don't like. I saw that one. I was reading some of the comments, and it's like, sure, but however she got in,
That's what I mean.
she got 2 weeks in Paris for just like that was like the other context.
But that's also not good for her psyche though, because like now the whole world's memeing you. Did you see the other dude?
Unless she's doing it for the memeing because she knew that she doesn't have it.
Oh, so she's like, I
That's
could
what
lose anyways, so it's gonna be funny.
yeah. Somehow I got through. Somehow I got
That's
sponsors,
true.
and I made
That's
it to
kind of
Paris
cool.
for 2 weeks.
Maybe let's hope that's what's really going on versus like psychological damage for you.
Sure,
But
sure.
yeah, totally. Did you see that other one where it's like when you lie on your resume and still get the job, and then it's a dude trying to pole vault and he doesn't even get off the ground? Like he was
Oh
like
yeah,
trying to, like you pole vault and then you like launch yourself up and then you jump over the
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And you'd be like, oh, you hit the bar or whatever. This dude like put the thing in, went up a little bit and fell back down. And they're like, bro, like you done this how many times? Like
yeah. Mm-hmm.
you can't even at least get up, like, you know? Yeah. The Olympics to me is like, let's get into it. The Olympics to me is kind of like a weird, like it serves a purpose because people are like, oh my God, the Olympics. And then like, everyone's talking about the Olympics because we're all just like pre-programmed to talk about the Olympics. But it it's like every what, 2, 4 years? How many years?
Uh,
3 years, something like.
well, it's every 4 years for the same Olympics, but it's every 2 years, winter and one for the summer, right? So that's every 2 years in that sense.
Okay, okay. So, but um how many fights do they have within that time? Like let's say like a UFC fighter. You're going to have like, I don't know, 6 fights during that 2-year span, 4 years, so it'll be like, I don't know. I'm just going with like 3 fights a year or something like that. Okay? So you're like the best of the best in that moment. Like you can be tested more frequently to see if you're the best. But if we wait 4 years, it's like who's applying for the Olympics? Like, are you really the best in the world? Like, I don't think that the people that win the Olympics are the best in the world at their thing. I think those are the only people that got in and are now on the main stage. Because there's so many crazy, like when they were like, oh, breakdancing is in the Olympics, right? And then I actually follow breakdancing channels. I'm like, bro, like this isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you would expect the craziest caliber, even the skateboarders, right? Like the skateboarders I follow, they're doing some craziness, but they're not going to the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like these people that are out there that are actual like killers in their style. And I think that the Olympics is more like it's like a dying. It's another dying thing that's like fake. Like who's applying for the Olympics? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. We'll see what the numbers are like overall.
No. But I
Right.
mean in terms of skill, I don't care about like I don't care about like who's watching it and like popularity. Like Khabib. Was Khabib ever in the Olympics? He's literally 29-0.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you put him in the Olympics, bro, for wrestling? You see what I'm saying? It's like, but
Sure.
he's a killer, bro. But you didn't put him in the Olympics, so you don't really get to test other people to that caliber.
I think they have to join, right? They have to want to
This is my point.
join.
It's
Yeah,
like,
wrestling.
this is my point. So it's like you watch these Dagestani killers, like Khabib's whole crew, they're destroyers, right? But they're not going to the Olympics. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you know that there are other people out there? Like you can't say you're the best in the world unless you've fought the best in the world,
Well, then I
kind of
would
thing.
I would say, why don't they join the Olympics? Why don't they?
Because there's a lot of bureaucracy around it. Because you don't get paid if you're doing the Olympics, and you also have to go to the village. Like I actually know a person who's who's medaled in the Olympics like a few times, um, and like he's been going, and he was giving us some behind the scenes looks at like the Chinese Olympics he went to, like the one in Beijing
Mm-hmm.
or something. And he's like, we were peeing in bottles. Like they didn't show like every time like we had to pee so bad, but they're like, nobody can leave this line until we do our opening ceremonies. So every time there was no camera on them, they were peeing in bottles so that they could actually like get it out. But they don't show you that on Olympics, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And he was like saying that um the Olympic village as well is like difficult to live in. So like what we're seeing is not it's like when we went to the UFC, you and me. Remember we were like, "Oh dude, I can't hear anything."
Mm-hmm.
It's like expectation versus reality. It looks way better on TV than it does in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think maybe that's why they're not going to the Olympics. Because they're like, what am I gonna win there? Like go to the Olympics, not get paid for anything, or fight in the UFC and make a $2 million contract. What am I gonna choose? UFC. You
We
know what I'm
can.
saying?
I don't know if why not. You can't do both, right?
Um,
Like the NBA players, then they also play
no,
basketball.
because you only get so many hits. Like MMA is like different because it's like if I get hit in the face, you only have so many times you get hit in the face.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or like you get injured in training. So like
But
it's
I
the
don't think
payoff.
UFC is there in, or like MMA is in
Wrestling's in there.
wrestling is. Yeah.
Yeah. So like Daniel Cormier, he became I think he's a gold medalist in the Olympics, and then he went to the UFC and he was like destroying. But then John Jones killed him. John Jones never went to the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
But you see what I'm saying? It's because like they they wanted to do that thing. Like that was their whole dream to get a gold,
Sure.
right? But it's like, but the other dude's dream, who wants it more, is to get money.
Mm-hmm.
So like the killers that really want to strive for like bettering their lives, I don't know if they're going to the Olympics. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't think people that go to the Olympics are the best in the world. I think they're just the ones that joined that thing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I
You know
mean,
what I'm saying?
yeah. But there's two different things, right? Like
Like, what do you mean?
even when they put like world records, or they give you world record number and they give you Olympic record. They're different.
Oh, wait, what? I don't know about this.
Like like let's just for instance like running or relay, like whatever, like 100-meter dash or something.
Oh, like Guinness Book World Records.
No, I don't know. They give a world record. That comes because
Oh,
they don't do just the Olympics, right? There's other um, world stuff. So they
okay.
give you like an Olympic record time, and they give you a world record time.
Okay.
So it's like those are different things, right?
Yes. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Wait, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So like within this rule set and then within the greater context.
Mm-hmm.
But so the other thing though is like you can't live if you are joining the Olympics. Like you need a side hustle to make money for the Olympics because I think you get paid like I don't know, like $3,000, something like that. Like it's not a lot. Like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of yeah.
yeah.
But
I don't think that that's why they do other things. They don't just do Olympics, right?
right. But what I'm saying is like, okay, so let's take Ronda Rousey. You know who that
Mm,
is?
yeah.
MMA fighter. Okay, so she won, I think, gold at the Olympics. And I was listening to her, and I read her book and I listened to her podcast. She like lived on people's couches while she was going towards the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
because like she you don't make any money. You
Yeah,
can't be
yeah,
like, "Hey, I'm gonna, like, join the Olympics, pay for me." There's no, like, job
yeah,
path
yeah,
for
yeah.
that, right? Whereas so she's like, "I really wanna win gold at the Olympics." Alright, cool. That's your mission, right?
Hmm.
Whereas, like, now Khabib, you grew up in a mountain and you're, like, destroying people in your, like, region of Russia. So his dad's like, "Hey, we could if we go to the main stage, like, we could really highlight our not only country, but you can make more money.
Hmm.
Like, your time will come." So why wasn't his dad like, "Just go to the Olympics? Because there's no, like, economic, like, output. There's no, like, incentive
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do the
I'm
Olympics."
sure you can do both, right?
But, okay, you can do both, but it's like opportunity cost.
But I think it's
If
like,
I
yeah, you have to probably, there's like wrestling, because you don't just go into the Olympics and join as a wrestling. There's like, you have to qualify, right?
yeah,
So you're
qualifiers, yeah.
doing other wrestling events. So if you can't put into the time to do the other wrestling events, then of course, why would you do that?
Yeah, for sure. No, totally, yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, yes, but in terms of opportunity cost, so there's a reason why Ronda Rousey got destroyed by Holly Holm, because she spent all of her time doing judo, and she
Hmm.
relied on that, right? Because, like, yeah, I want the Olympic gold, right? So if you're going to play the game for this rule set of Olympic gold, you're not spending time also filling your other holes, which is like, what about your boxing? What about
Sure.
your wrestling? You know what I'm saying? Whereas Khabib was like, okay, if I'm competing only for Olympics, you have to know the rule set. You have to only program your body for that rule set.
So
You know what I'm
unless
saying?
unless they, again, yeah, unless they make MMA part of the Olympics.
But I don't know if people would do it still because it's like who's
I don't know.
sponsoring you?
Yeah,
Like the
that's,
money.
it changes, right? Like how basketball, right? The NBA players are the ones playing.
But nothing changed for them. It's like you're just playing a game.
You know what I'm saying is like they added like whenever they added basketball into the Olympics, as if they added MMA, they can do MMA in the Olympics as well.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, wait, wait. Is all right, let's take basketball because that's a great example. Are all the best players on the basketball team on the USA team?
No, because they get players, like even on NBA, there are players that are from different parts of the world too.
So this one, right? Oh, wait. So they could play. All right. So on Team USA, are they the best basketball players in the? Because NBA is the number one. That's like the
Well,
UFC
because
of
that's, yeah,
basketball.
yeah, 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 sure.
So,
'Cause they just won gold, so yeah.
well, no, no, yeah, obviously, like, if they didn't win gold, that'd be crazy because you're like the main thing. But like I'm saying, are the best players in the NBA a part of the Team USA?
Uh, sure. I don't know what you mean.
Like, like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan.
I don't know if
Like, you know what I'm trying to
I
say?
don't know
Like,
if they played for USA, because Kobe Bryant would be, if he was uh Spain.
he's from Spain.
Yeah, I don't know if he was. Is he American? I don't remember. He got to be American to play for America, right?
Totally, totally, totally. Um,
It's whatever passports you have. So if you're a dual citizen, you can choose either country, I guess.
okay, that makes sense. But also, okay, so you're, but that's also different because NBA is just like, hey, the rules are the exact same. Just play the game for us. So
Hmm.
nothing changed. But like, I think I'm thinking mostly about like fighting.
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying. If
no, no.
MMA, what I'm saying is, if MMA is in the Olympics,
Okay, okay,
then
wait,
they
wait, wait.
could play.
You're totally, totally, totally. All right, all right. All right. How about this? Skateboarding or breakdancing? Breakdancing.
Sure.
Because that was just in the Olympics. Also skateboarding. But the best people who I've seen doing breakdancing and skateboarding, but what's the rule set? So when you watch these people who are doing these crazy moves, there's no rules. It's just like who can do the craziest move,
Hmm.
right? And at the Olympics, they introduce rules. So if you have to learn rules in order to like medal, then you're like, well, why would I learn those rules? That's not what I'm good at. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's like it it's hard to like no holds barred fighting. And then you're like, well, you can't hit the back of the head. But you're like, but I've been practicing for kicking the back of the head. So
Hmm.
then you like start taking away weapons. So like for the skateboarder, it's like, okay, if you do like this grind across the rail, it only counts as 2 points. But if you do a kickflip, it counts as five. But you're
Mhm.
like, but I've worked on the grind my entire life
Yeah.
and I haven't done the kickflip, but I'm gonna try the kickflip. You know what I mean? It's like
Sure.
who's you know what I'm trying to say? It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's why I'm like, who's joined like you're not getting the best in the world because you're not letting them be them. You're like introducing this weird rule set of like the Olympics.
Yeah, it's just based on yeah, yeah. For those things, I think it's like points based, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. But it's like so subjective. Like, you know
Uh,
what I'm trying to say? It's
I'm
like if
not.
you
I
do
don't
the
know if.
craziest, like if you do a backflip in the air and make it look like you're running, that
Hmm.
lands you 1 point. And you're like, bro, if I saw it, I'd be like, you're insane. How did you do that?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like because there's no rules. So that guy to me is the best in the world, but you didn't medal at the Olympics
Sure.
because like under the Olympic rules,
Hmm.
XYZ. Actually, different organizations for MMA do that too, where it's like um Mighty Mouse Johnson, who is considered like the best UFC fighter
Hmm.
because he's so well rounded. He got knocked out in ONE FC. But like, dude, I've never seen him get knocked out. It's like because the rules are different. He didn't know if he put his hands on the ground, he's getting kneed in the face. So he's
Hmm.
been practicing like my hands on the ground, can't knee me in the face. Goes to ONE FC, gets kneed in the face. You're like, well, he's knocked out
Right.
because you hadn't been practicing. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's why I'm like, the Olympics to me is like, are they the best in the world or
Hmm.
did they just sign up?
Sure.
You agree or still disagree?
Uh, I
What do you
mean,
see that
best.
point?
That's what I'm saying. Like Olympic record, best in the Olympic.
Yeah, totally. Just like
So
you're the best UFC champion, but you're not the best like that's why Mighty Mouse was so cool. He was like, I'm gonna go from organization to organization and collect all the belts. Like he's like playing
hmm.
his life like a video game. He's like, if I'm the best, I can fight in every promotion and get championed in every one.
Right.
That's cool. Cause then you're
Yeah.
like, okay, you are arguably the best, you know? You went for every rule. Yeah. Okay. Before we get into Kamala Harris, I really gotta pee again, man. So much. All right, one second, one second. All right, we're back. So I'm wondering with the whole okay, how many Kamala Harris videos have you seen? Or is it just like that one I sent you about Tupac?
I've seen the newer ones,
Okay. Okay. Are you
like at
seeing
the
blunders
rallies.
too? No, no, like are you seeing like blunders
Yeah,
or
yeah,
no?
yeah.
You are. Okay.
Yeah,
So
because I get both from both sides.
okay, okay. So my question is this. Are we are we at a point where we're watching two people who are not the best duke it out? Or was there just no social media during Obama's time? Because social media is so prevalent now. That
I
you're
think
like,
it's a different kind of social media now than it was even during Obama's time. Obama did use social media, but that was like it was the first time being used,
right, totally, totally, totally.
and it's a different kind of social media. It's not today's time.
It's not like insane up to the minute, right? So, okay, if people don't know what we're talking about, it's when this reporter was like, or this interviewer was like, who's the best rapper alive? And then Kamala Harris is like, Tupac. And then they're like, wait, Tupac's dead though.
Hmm.
And then she's like, oh yeah, I love Tupac, something like that. And I was just like, this is kind of weird to me because it's like either you don't actually listen to rap music and you just name Tupac because you know that would get you more votes, or you just had such a terrible blunder that you were like, I thought he was alive. Like, I don't, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, which one was it? But they also asked Obama, Kendrick or Drake? And he's like, I gotta give it to my man Drake. I mean, sorry, Kendrick. I gotta give it to my man
Yeah,
Kendrick.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
You saw that video, right?
yeah.
And he put out the best album that year. So I was like, okay, you listened to the album. He's like, my favorite song was How Much Does a Dollar Cost? You know, and you're like, okay, you're giving us a legitimate answer.
Hmm.
You're very presidential, you know, where she was like, Tupac. And then you're like, wait, that's the wrong answer because like he's not even alive. So I'm wondering, did we just miss all of Obama's mistakes because there wasn't like crazy social media, or are they really bad?
I don't know.
It's interesting though, right?
Sure.
Because you're like, maybe this is just how people are if you're showing every single second. Maybe, I don't know.
Uh, maybe yeah, but like I
Like how
don't
many oh yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how old that video is. Like how that's another thing, right?
Of Kamala?
Yeah,
You mean it's like maybe it's back in the day or what?
yeah. I think it's probably from back in the day. I don't, this is not new stuff.
Okay, okay, but like, so did Obama slip and we just didn't catch that on camera? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
how
I'm
Joe
not
Biden
sure.
slipped, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Ooh, that's bad." But you're like, "No, Obama slipped multiple times. We just didn't put that online."
Yeah, they didn't have didn't have
That's
these
what
clips.
I'm saying,
Right.
right?
Sure.
So now it's like it's just making so many questions for me because I'm like if I met Obama in real life and
Mhm.
like he, let's say Obama just spits when he talks, and I'm talking to him, he just like, keeps spitting on my face as we're talking, right?
Sure.
You'd be like, "Oh, dude, expectation versus reality."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if we put that online, you're like, "Oh, Obama's a spit talker," you know?
Mhm.
But it was more manufactured back then because it's like, okay, we can post this, we won't post this. There's less out there.
Yeah, I'd have to remember how the things were going even at the time, because he was in the primaries. He was facing Hillary, and he became more popular. I think he was pretty good, pretty well versed back in those days.
The
I
way
think.
he conducted himself, bro, is
Yeah.
just so good. And I'm just like, is it over? Like why are we watching?
I don't know if it's
Is it over?
over. I think it's just you got to look at who was before him. You got to look at who was before that. Like there were times that
True.
like it was Bush, right?
True. Remember that word? Yeah,
So it's a back and forth thing. I think that
true.
some people stick out because they wanted uh, they wanted to run the country.
It's the halo horn effect. We're seeing so much badness right now that when we look back, we're like, "Oh, that was the best."
Sure, yeah. Until we see another one that
Oh, that's a good
another
point.
one like him to run again. Right? It's up to the person whoever wants to run to be president.
Ooh, touche, Vish. You're right. You're right, actually, because like now that I think about like George Bush Jr., there are so many memes about him. Like he was
Yeah,
terrible too. Or like during 9/11 when he's like reading the book upside down or something. He's like, what? You know, it's like
sure, yeah, yeah.
there's
Or-
so
But
many.
he is very good. His facial reactions were very funny. Like it's just
That's true. You're right. Maybe
remember he got thrown
the
a
shoe?
shoe at him
Yeah, yeah,
and
he
he
dodged
ducked
it.
it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, that's true, that's true. But that wasn't making the rounds because we didn't have social media back then, so it probably just happened on the news,
It
people, like,
happened on the
forgot about it.
news, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then now if we that becomes like a meme of like, "Oh, oh, dodge the shoe." That's true. You're right, you're right. So maybe it's just you know what? I'm gonna chalk it up to social media. Like,
Mm.
maybe we don't actually have bad times right now, we're just seeing everything in real time,
Hmm.
and you could hide a lot before.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, it made me feel a little better about that. And you're right, because it's like, because I was like, man, what happened to Obama? Like, that was such a great. But you're like,
There was Bush before
yeah, Bush before that was
that.
pretty bad too. You're right. That's true. And we weren't like sentient enough to know about like Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
So like, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Bill Clinton, or even I don't know who it was before him. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Facts. Okay, I feel better about that one. Okay, but what about this? Those AI videos. I don't know if I sent you that one where like it was a Chinese dude, like in one face, it was like him in
oh yeah.
normal mode, and then the other one's like a girl.
Hmm.
And then as he moved his mouth, she would move her mouth, and it's like, dude, the internet's about to get crazy because like
Hmm.
you can be catfished so hard,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
dude. Like how do you know that this podcast right now is not AI
No, no,
generated?
it's already happening. It's already happening.
Freaky, bro. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
No, but like real, like
Yeah.
what are we
Yeah.
doing?
This is the issue. These are some of the issues that we can have with the internet or social media, because you end up falling into certain categories, and then if that's all the videos that you're seeing, you think those are all real videos. Like the one with Elon Musk put up, the whole I'm a DEI hire. Like there was like a
Oh yeah, 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 I saw it. Yeah.
yeah. There are people that will believe that's real.
Wait, he didn't do that?
No, no, no,
Oh,
no. He
oh,
posed it, but that's an AI video.
oh yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, yeah, no, no,
But there are people that will
dude,
believe it to be real.
dude, you're right. You're right. Because that happened. I can't remember. I think it was like something I sent my sister, and she was like, "Oh, what do you think?" I was like, "No, that's." Oh, you know what it was? Oh, dude, you know what it was? It was, and you and I were like, "No, this is fake, bro." The video of Kanye West and
Oh
Elon
yeah,
Musk
yeah, yeah,
talking,
yeah.
and everyone was going off. Like Tara was like, oh my God, have you seen this video? I'm like, yeah, it's a fake video. She's like, no, what? No, they're interviewing. I'm like, why would Elon Musk interview Kanye West, and why are they the same age?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, oh, right. I'm like, yeah, that's not even AI generated. That's just clever editing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, bro, if this can fool people with clever editing,
Mm-hmm.
like what else can it do?
Yeah.
It's trippy, bro. Like this is also why. So like Tara's been doing like a lot of podcasts now, which is kind of funny because we've been doing this podcast for a while. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
if you ever want to set that up, that'd be kind of cool. But she's like, no, I don't want to like, she's been like guests on them, but she doesn't want to do her own.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one she was on was like multicam. And I'm like, oh yeah, me and Vish could totally do that. Like the way it's set up, it's just like a deck, and then we use the same OBS software, but whatever. I'm just saying like the DIY aspect of like this podcast is really cool. But so
Sure.
with that, the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I like podcasts, and I was telling her, is like, you can't lie about who you are for like an hour plus straight. And Joe Rogan said that too. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you're really getting an unfiltered, especially with like ours is so raw that like obviously we're like managing some things we're saying because like I can't say everything
Sure.
online,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but like there's no cuts. It's like when you're watching a
Mm-hmm.
except when I go to the bathroom. But there's no like, especially if you watch on YouTube, you'll see there's no cuts. If you have like two camera angles and somebody messes up, just cut to the other scene.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like, or like, oh, dude, I actually don't want you to talk about that on the podcast. All right, cut to the scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like even Joe Rogan has said that sometimes. He's like, if you want me to cut this part out, I can. And then the person be like, no, it's cool. And I'm like, oh, that's cool that they left it in. But then I'm like, what about the parts that they didn't leave in?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he's doing multicam, and when you do multicam, you could easily hide things,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't multicam like because there's no multicam. If I cut something out during the editing process, you'll see that there's a clear jump in our like. Not, you might not hear it auditorily, but if you watch on YouTube, you're like, why did they just cut there?
Right.
What did you
Yeah.
hide? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think it's like this is the best platform that we can have for truth. Like like um like should we actually maybe it's just too much information. I don't know, like the how close are we to how much truth do you want to know? Do you want packaged truth or do you want like not do you get what I'm trying to say? It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
unfiltered,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's like, oh, it's too much raw data. Like the blunders. If like somebody said like, oh, you say like too much, me. And I'm like, okay, I just said it again. But if I just started chopping those out, it's like, oh, that's more comfortable for you to hear. So you want more raw data or do you want like edited stuff?
Right, right, right. Sure.
Like, I don't know.
No, I think people want. I think
But then,
people
okay,
want
right.
edited. People want edited.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then that's what introduces like the whole AI ness of it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can just be fooled. That's why the podcast is like, it's very hard to be fooled because you're just like letting it go.
Sure.
But until they hit that point where you're just like, AI, generate me a whole podcast that seems super real. And you're like, oh my God, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like any form of editing can easily be manipulated now. And it's like, we will not know what's real online,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
which is kind of freaky. With the dude who like moved his mouth and then the woman moved her mouth. And I was like, ooh, that is some crazy like AI generation, bro. Like, you know what I mean? We could have a filter right now and I could look like Brad Pitt as I'm talking to you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's true.
We're getting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe it's like we're hitting this point where nothing is real. Like online. Like
Yeah,
they said that
I mean,
before.
yeah, that's yeah. We said that before. I think it's the
No, I mean people have warned us about that before.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't trust everything you see online. You're like, no, literally you can't trust anything you see online now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. You think or
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
We're
as
hitting that
AI.
point, right?
Yeah.
God damn. What are we gonna do? Is it just the end of? Because if we rely so heavily on internet, and then you're like, "Oh, you can't trust anything you see online." You're like, "Okay, so what do I trust, bro?"
Hmm.
"Oh, the real world." "Okay, go out and meet people." Now
Or we have to go back to the traditional ways
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
because
"Alright, I'll meet you outside, bro." Like, we'll
I
have this
think it, it
conversation on the street.
it might it might happen. It might be like that. I think if it becomes where the world is just too fake or the internet's too fake, we don't know if
Yeah.
it's real. Then maybe we do end up going back to the old ways.
Right? No, but for real though, right?
Sure.
Like, hey, man, like, I really wanna hear what you're saying right now, so you have to meet me at this Starbucks, and we're gonna chat for, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, dude, like, we we couldn't rely on um, this, like, because you and I talk consistently every week. Like, we'll, like, text throughout the week, but we actually sit down and spend this time together, right? But
Hmm.
then it's like, "Well, I don't know if you're filtering me right now, bro." You know, like,
Yeah. Right.
oh, that is freaky. Because then you're like, I really can't trust it. I need to meet you.
Hmm.
If we're gonna chat every week, like, we gotta sit down and, like, I gotta make sure that you are who you are.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
Freaky though, because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you're like, "What kind of world are we building? This fake world?" Maybe the metaverse is really where like, maybe Mark Zuckerberg knew, and it's like, "We have to go there."
Maybe yeah. Maybe that's where we're going. It's just how we. This is the steps that we're getting to into that position.
Yeah. No, but yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
That becomes normal and normal. Like what I don't think we can just step into that world right now. But as the internets and more AI stuff come in, it just becomes the norm. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but yeah, for real though.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we'll be sitting in, like, a virtual coffee house with our avatars on and just chatting. No, but, like, it's like, that's where that's where we have to head, not where we're headed. That's where we have to head.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, because we rely on it so much. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by that is, like, especially with, like, life okay, so you and I now we used to live together, we don't live that far away from each other, like 30 minutes, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, even me to get to my parents' house, 30 minutes, right? But if you were like, "Hey, man, let's go do something," I'd be like, "Alright, well, I gotta factor in the 30 minutes, we're gonna do something, and then it's gonna take me 30 minutes to get home. That's, like, 4 hours of my day. Okay, I have this other thing, I need to go grocery shopping, I have to, like, edit this thing." You know what I'm saying? Like, the convenience is there for online,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But there's also, like, potentials for faking it online. Like,
Yeah.
so
There's
the
the risks of it. Yeah.
right?
Sure.
But it's like when people are like, "Oh, that's where we're headed." It's like, "No, that's where we that's what we rely on. Because I rely on this to, like" you know what I'm trying to say?
It's convenience factor. That's what will win
Yeah,
over. Generally,
but
what would work? What's
it's
going to
like you
win?
can't stop it,
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to say. It's like people are like, "Oh, we should just shut it down." It's like, we use it so heavily, you don't even realize how heavily you use it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Apple Pay, is everywhere using your credit cards. Like, you're only looking at this one facet, which is, like, the digital space, but, like, that digital space is contingent on other things that we use in our daily lives, like GPS trackers and, like, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Convenience is what you are so
Yeah.
right. It's like time.
Yeah.
It just gives us, like, more time, and the cost is you don't know what's real.
Yeah. There, I mean, yeah. There's the drawbacks,
Yeah.
but we just got to get smarter. But I don't know if we can get smarter
I
about
was
it.
I was real I swear I was really thinking about this one. I was like, "What if they put, like, meta code inside each video so it lets you" like, when you edit a video, like, a photo,
Mm-hmm.
it has, like, metadata, so I can open up each, like, get information, and then you can see when it was last edited,
Yeah.
like a photo yeah, you know what I'm trying to say? Like
Yeah.
yeah. So, like, maybe that's what it'll be? Like, the the coders will be able to create some sort of code that reads the metadata on every video post, and if it senses any AI generation, it'll say this video is AI generated.
Hmm.
It'll give you a warning. Like maybe that's how it'll work. Like, I don't actually know.
It might be things like that, yeah. But then I don't know if that's up to the individual companies that want to do that, or law that has to be passed in order to generate
Or
that kind
say,
of
yeah, yeah,
information,
exactly,
right?
totally.
Oh, things like that.
Be- Because on Instagram, you can tag for yourself. Like it says, like, was this made by AI generation? And you can like click yes or no to give people an extra layer of like, hey, don't, this is fake. You know
Hmm.
what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
But it's like I have to opt into that. So
Right.
like,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
do I really want to opt in? Like, it should almost be like automatic.
Yeah, maybe their trial is probably part of the trial. Do you want to opt into the trial kind of
Oh,
thing?
and then they're trying to figure out an algorithm that'll allow them to realize that it's
Yeah,
like
I
if
think.
more people opt in, then it's like, okay, that's how the AI, and they'll figure out a pattern, you're saying?
Yeah, I think it, the only way that it learns is through that. It has to have so many um, trials or things to check. That's how the system would learn.
Yes. Yeah, 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 totally. So yeah, okay, okay. So maybe they are in the pilot phases of trying to figure that part out.
Yeah, I just don't know like what the world would be like if everything is AI and people don't know what's actually real. I don't know what the world would turn out to be, and
Bro,
right.
I don't know
So
for
I
real though, bro.
if I think if I don't I think if you don't want things to go into chaos, I think the companies would need to figure out a way that okay, here this stuff is AI. It's easy, like they can easily figure that out and have that listed in the thing or posted in the thing.
Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. Totally, totally, totally. You know what's crazy too with that? It's like habits and mannerisms.
Hmm.
So, okay, let's say people are like, I don't want to do AI anymore. Let's go back to reality. We have to relearn how to interact with people in real space.
Hmm.
But really, though,
Right.
people
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course
yeah.
I know how to. No, it's like you'll be like, what do I do with my hands? Right now, if you look at the video, you can't see the lower half of my body.
Yeah,
So it's like I have to relearn what to do with the lower half of my body
sure.
in
Yes.
physical space.
Yeah,
But luckily, I have foreknowledge because I've lived. Both you and I have lived without this internet, so
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we know what like
Hmm. Hmm.
social interaction is.
Yeah.
But then there are certain people that like don't have social
No,
interaction.
it's true. Yeah, like as a newer generation comes along, like I was just thinking about like what's an old thing that we used to do to rent movies. You have to go into a store.
Yeah, and they don't know it.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
That's
So they won't
that's not
even
a
know like
how to
yeah,
do that.
right?
Yeah,
So they won't even know like basic things like that. But I mean, I guess our parents could say the same thing. You don't
it's the
know how to
same
change
thing.
a
Yeah, it's
tire.
the same thing. Yeah, but that's how it goes. Anyways, I don't know if we will ever go backwards. It's always just going to be going forwards.
True. But you know, it'd be really weird if like let's say, okay, you're meeting someone in person. Um, like let's say it's like a cousin, because that's like when would you meet an employer or like something like that? Or no, because you work in like a physical space, right? So like
Hmm.
people, you interact with people. Let's say a Gen Z or something or somebody new joins the team and they start like doing this weird thing with their foot. And you're like,
Hmm.
why are you doing that weird thing with your foot? But you have to remember, oh, they didn't realize that you can't, like they grew up in a world where you can't see what you're doing in your lower half of the body. So
Sure.
they can do these weird ticks that
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
can't see. But then in real life, you're like, could you stop that? That's kind of,
Hmm.
it's like distracting.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, what if every time I talk to you, like, because you can't see the lower half of my body right now, what if my mannerism is like opening and closing my hand over and over?
Hmm.
You can't see that, but it makes me feel comfortable. And we go in real life, and then I start doing that. You'd be like, what the hell's wrong with that guy? You know what I'm trying to say? It's like these
Sure.
mannerisms that we don't realize we're building because we don't have enough time spent in physical space.
Hmm.
And you know what the craziest part about all this is? The catalyst was freaking COVID, bro. That's when we
Sure.
really went online.
Hmm.
Like before COVID, I worked in well luck so I started working in an office. I hated that. And then I found like a remote job that was like 2 days in the office, no, 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. I was like, all right, cool. And then COVID is just 100% remote, right?
Hmm.
And then I realized like I actually realized this yesterday as I was getting home. I was like, I would never have all this time to do all the things I'm doing if I wasn't remote, right? And like that all started because people were forced to go remote during COVID. And I don't know if we can actually go back. People are trying to make people go back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, come to the office 1 day a week. But imagine telling somebody like, I mean, like outside from your industry, people that go in like all the time, it's like that won't change. But like people who had the option of not always going inside,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, come back 5 days, you're like, my life's gonna change. And then you
Yeah.
get attrition because people are like, oh, I gotta find a new job. Like
Yeah.
I don't appreciate this lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? And like really, we said this during the podcast during COVID, and it doesn't ring true until like you say it again years later. But I think this is the new normal, bro. Like we have created a whole new normal through COVID, and there's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Like you can remember before COVID and you can remember after COVID.
Yeah.
COVID was so pivotal. It's like there's no way we're going back to that.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't reached. We're not even back to the normal. I don't say normal. We're not back to where we were before COVID. Still,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
you mean economically or what?
As economically, yeah, it's still going through some. Like we haven't until it's back to normal because there's a recession to come. There's things like that are
Dude,
happening,
tell me about that one.
right?
I'm kind of freaked out about that one.
Yeah. So like there's things like that. That's why it's still not nothing is fixed yet. Like even
Right.
like the Dell thing, they wanted people to come back into the office. They weren't coming back in. They all voted no,
That's
right?
funny.
But
Yeah.
then they fired a lot of workers.
Gotta pay to play, bro.
So when
You
I think like when they rehire new people in the contracts is coming back into the office.
right. But that's gonna be a very select okay, multiple things with that.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is I heard this from somebody else, like that's a genius way of putting it. You can actually tap true talent if you're not local. So like if you can hire like my boss right now is not nowhere close to me, but she's a genius, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm openly saying like she's so smart, but like you can only tap that kind of talent because they don't live here.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can just open call like who's the best genius? Come in. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like that's a benefit of remote work. But then the drawback is like we have all this office space that we're not using, blah blah blah.
There's things like that, but I think it depends on the work. Depends on how I don't know. Like they find that a lot of creativity stuff or things that happen in office than
Totally.
necessarily out. So like it depends
For sure.
on the field.
No, I agree with you. Like even for myself, like I can't brainstorm. Like I had this like thing I had to do, and I was like brainstorming by myself. And it's like I tried brainstorming in like a group meeting, but it's like, oh, it's so tough. Like you can do it, but it's like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's different. There's something different about being able to like just force like sit together. Although they did so one thing that they're getting away around that is like before they flew us all out to one location. And then when they did that, we were able to brainstorm together. So it's like you can do that,
Yeah.
offset the cost. But like I agree with you. There are certain things that like require being in office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I also don't see it going back. Like I don't
No, I
see
don't think it's a majority thing. No.
like that's not enough to make us all go back, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. But
And
maybe that's what I'm saying. Like to in order to bring those things or have those things kind of back, uh, would be the meta space. Would that help?
yes, yes. See this there all right, thank you. And this like ties a neat bow in exactly what we are saying, which is like this is where we're headed. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like, yeah, okay, social interaction, yeah, I can see you, but like also office work. It's like if there is a meta space, it's like, hey, let's just jump in with our VR. We can go into this boardroom and we can like hash it
You're
out.
kind of there. You're still there. Like you're creating a virtual space. Your virtual body's there.
Yeah,
Like your mind is now thinking that you're there. Like it's
yeah.
creating that conveniently creating that space for us.
Right,
without ever having to be there. Yeah,
and
physically.
that's inevitably where we're going.
Hmm.
Like, it's not like people are like, "That's where you want it to go." It's like, "No, no, that's where we're going, period." Like, full stop, we're done.
Hmm.
'Cause it's it's how we live our life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I don't think we're really thinking about I don't think we're really thinking about the ramifications of the way we've set ourselves up,
Hmm.
and freaking the new world is this 100%. It's like 9/11. Before that, we didn't have to go through all those metal detectors, and now we started getting these like crazy like body scanners and like I could see you naked when you walk through. You remember that? Like
Yeah, yeah,
you remember that when you were first child, you're
sure.
like, wait, this thing could see me naked? What's going on? Right? But like that is something that hasn't changed, and it's been like 20 years, bro.
Hmm.
Actually, yeah, it's been
Yeah.
2001, over 20 years, and we haven't gone back. Like there are definitely these forks in the road where it's like it just like flicks you, and it's like we're going down this path now. There's
Hmm.
no coming back. Yeah, Blade Runner, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, okay. Um, any last things?
No,
Yeah.
it's an interesting world.
Bro, it is an interesting world. And I'm excited though,
Yeah.
because there's so much potential, but there's so much like I'm sure they'll figure out the AI thing. It can't be that hard to be like, this is AI generated. That's like a warning.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It'll happen. I think it'll happen. It's generally how the rules always come in after, but trying to
Yeah,
fix an
totally,
issue
totally.
generally like that. Yeah.
But would you rather oh wait, no, no. Quick last thing because I want to know. Recession.
Mhm.
What do you mean by that? Is it really bad?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
We don't
Okay.
know yet. Yeah.
Because I even asked my cousin about that. He's like, yeah, I just stopped paying attention to economics because it was so depressing. And I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. There's I don't like I don't know like that whole drop in the market was
Yeah.
different reasons
Okay.
for
Okay.
those sort of things. So because there people were borrowing like as interest rates in most of the world has gone up, most of the Western world has gone up. That borrowing money is more costly. So they were borrowing money in Japan because Japan's interest rate was low until they just recently went up. So that's what caused that whole
Oh, okay. 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 Cool.
crash. But also like you know, uh, it's mainly affecting a lot of the tech worlds uh, because AI is they're putting a lot of money into AI, but right now there's no return on investment on that AI dollars.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So it makes sense, right? Like it's good hype in
Yeah.
the beginning. People bought into it, but we haven't seen anything yet.
I was like, oh,
There's no
I feel
return on
like
investment on billions of dollars that you're spending. These return on investments probably won't happen another 5, 10 years. Who knows? Or earlier. It depends on where AI. How fast or quickly these things change.
they had that the dot-com bubble. They're like
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's they were talking about that. It's like the dot-com bubble. Right now we're in
Oh.
that AI bubble. So
Oh, okay. Cool. 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 Yeah. 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 I remember there's a movie with Matt Damon and it was so jarring because he had like this company and then they invested so much and everyone lost their jobs because
hmm.
he was like hoping that
Yeah,
they'd
yeah,
make so much money off .com and like nobody made money. So
all
like
right.
it's sort of like the AI thing, like you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. I think we're in that phase with AI.
Damn. Okay, that's kind of freaky. Okay, last thing because it's related to this. Um, so quick heads up, I'm gonna be away for like a few weeks. September, I'm going to Halifax and Vegas, and then in October, I'm going to Mexico. But I wanted to say that I think you sent me this video where it's like there'll be two tier, or maybe my sister sent it. There'll be two tiers of travel in the future,
Hmm.
where there are people who can actually travel places, and there are people that use AI and like virtual reality travel.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's going to be really trippy too, because it's like I mean, that's beautiful, but it's also trippy because it's like it's beautiful that people can like see these different spaces, but like that's kind of weird that we have this two different classes where people can't travel, which it does make sense though. Like not everyone can travel.
Yeah, but it already exists right now. So if it gives opportunity to people that can't travel right now, a way to travel.
Touche. You're right. It does exist right now too. That's true.
Yeah, so that's it's even better in that sense.
Ever the optimist. Thank you, Vish. I was like freaking out about it. I was like, oh my God, the rich and poor dividing so heavily. What's going on? And it's like, no, but you're just giving opportunity to people that could never do it anyways.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, the future's
that's what
good.
freedom's all about.
All right, future. We're banking on a good future out here, Vish. All right. 2025 is gonna be beautiful and optimistic. The aliens are gonna come. We're gonna be in the metaverse. We're gonna have like cybernetic bodies. Cancer will be cured. It's over. All the bad stuff's over. All right. Um, that'll be really crazy. We like jump like this podcast is like next year this time we're like, are the aliens invading tomorrow? What are we gonna talk about? There's oh my god, like
Sure.
everything's that'd be crazy. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
could you imagine that? We're like, all right, they just announced that the aliens are landing tomorrow. Where are you gonna hide?
Mm-hmm.
This would be a dark podcast, bro. It'd be so gnarly.
Yeah, I mean, things anything could happen. There are other things that are happening right now in Ukraine and Russia stuff that isn't really being talked about.
What? I thought it was over.
No, actually, Ukraine is pushing into Russia in other areas now.
Oh, they're fighting
They're
back?
fighting back
God damn. I thought that thing was
into
done.
Russian land. Yeah,
No.
and the U.S. didn't know about it, or I didn't know about it in the sense that.
Okay, wait, we have to stay off of this. Please tell me. No, because you're just going to tell me after the podcast.
Well,
And be
there
like,
isn't too much information, but yeah, what I've seen now is that they're in certain areas they have now started to push or encroach into Russian land.
bro. Wait, what was the thing about the Olympics where like Russia wasn't allowed? Because I saw maybe it's fake, but like Russia is banned from the Olympics. But like, uh, what's happening with like the Palestine or something? The bombs that are happening right now. There's like a war.
In
In,
Israel?
yeah,
Or
Israel. Is that what it is?
Israel and
I've
Palestine?
not been, yeah, I've not been paying attention too much to that. So like they're
Mm-hmm.
not banned, but Russia's banned. So it's like
Yeah, but there's different reasons, right?
true. You're right. You're right.
Russia started the war.
You're right. Okay.
Israel
Okay.
technically Israel didn't start that war, so so there's different things.
Okay. Okay. That's fair. You're right. You're right. But like, I had no idea that this was going on. That like now they're starting to push back, and like, is that even mainstream news? Like, who's knowing about this?
Well, we're all talking about Kamala and Trump,
Oh my
right?
god!
That's the
See,
mainstream news right now.
this is how you control the masses, man. You just hide the information. Like, I would have never known that about what's going on unless you just said it.
Yeah,
There's just too much to freaking pay attention to, bro.
yeah. Well, that's why it's like I like TikTok and who I follow. Like those are like good information that I won't be getting this on Instagram.
True, yeah. Well, it's because it's like Chinese owned, so like they're messing with your. No, I'm just kidding, but like,
It depends on who you're following, right? So it's like you can have it's very good in their AI systems of like if you like information, if you like economy stuff, that's what you're gonna get.
right? Yeah, yeah. Like their algorithm's
The
better.
algorithms better. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Damn. All right. Last thing. This keeps being
And
algorithm.
it's like long form too, because I look for them on IG if I want to post it to you guys, but the videos they can't make the same long videos as they do on TikTok.
Okay, dude. So I was getting a tattoo yesterday. This is not the last thing I want to say, but I was getting a tattoo yesterday, and like my artist had I was in the chair for like 7 hours, bro. It was crazy. And like literally 7 hours. And she had TikTok playing, and I was like, does she want to turn off her phone? Well, because I didn't realize that she had like I thought she
Oh,
had left it on,
yeah.
but she was like listening to something on TikTok, and I was like, how come this video is just still going? Like, what is the freaking time length for a freaking TikTok video now?
Oh, unless she's watching it live.
There's TikTok lives too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I don't.
So
I don't know.
I delve in the TikTok live world. I watch that. I watch if I'm watching that, or even like the long form videos, like 2, 3, sometimes 5 minutes, 10 minutes long. They can be. Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, bro, how's this video not switching right now?
That's what's like for like a lot of information with the economy and stuff, or like how the thing, all that Tokyo stuff or whatever I was talking about. There, you can't do it in less than a minute,
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, totally,
right?
totally,
So
totally.
these videos are actually long, and then I go to their page on IG, they can't post the whole video, right?
Interesting.
But you
Okay.
got the more longer form on the TikTok.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. This is kind of related to the last thing I wanted to say, which is we are talking about vacuums of information,
Hmm.
right? Like TikTok, oh, the algorithm's only showing me this one thing. And Tara said this to me before, and I didn't it hit me this morning. I was telling her again because like tattoo shops, I love them. They're so interesting because like if you find a good one, the environment's cool. But I've been to some like weird ones where it was like a very fancy place, but I was like, is this Yakuza owned, bro? No, but for real though.
Sure, sure.
So there's this one dude who like came into the shop. I won't name the shop, but like it kind of freaked me out. And all these artists were like great, right? But to me, I'm like, it's a weird giveaway if you're decked out in like Prada. Maybe it's fake. Who knows? Prada and Gucci and like a big winter coat, whatever. But you have the craziest neck tattoo that's actually a skull.
Hmm.
And I was like, all right, you're not getting a normal job, bro. Like, what are you doing for this money?
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Like that, like a neck tattoo that's a skull. You're
Hmm.
like, you're doing something, bro. And it wasn't even like, like the way they portray like white gang members, which is like kind of rough and like the Hells Angels kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
This to me felt like Asian gang members are like more elegant. They're more subtle. They talk through their tattoos. So like I was like, is this Yakuza, bro? Because like you guys are so nice. You're like, hello, hello, oh, that's a very nice tattoo. And I'm like, you're saying that, but you have a skull tattooed on your neck, bro. How do I trust you?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I gotta be, and everyone's being super polite to them, like, hello, hello, bowing and stuff. And I'm like, this is very odd. So then with the algorithm thing, Tara's like, we were driving to like Costco one time, and she's like, isn't it weird that we're driving to Costco and then right now in this moment, somebody's probably talking about how to murder someone? And I'm like, yeah, our realities are so different. Like if that dude's actually in the Yakuza, he's like, tomorrow we need to put out a hit on this person, blah, blah, blah. And
Hmm.
it's like, we're living weird worlds right now, like worlds
Yeah,
within worlds, bro.
yeah.
You know
Yeah, like the. Did you know about the plot that was gonna or potentially gonna happen here? A terrorist attack plot that they arrested the
what?
people. Yeah,
No,
yeah. They caught them or they arrested them.
what?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what is this? What happened?
He was like a 60-year-old man and his son, I think.
A 60-year-old man.
Yeah, something
Oh
like
my
that. Yeah.
god.
A terrorist plot that we our police are averted.
So right now in this moment, realize that you and I are having this conversation.
Yeah.
We're recording. So we're about to upload this to like YouTube and stuff. But in this moment, as you're listening to this podcast right now, whoever's listening, somebody's plotting to murder a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And we're like, have no concept,
It's yeah, that's true. Yeah.
bro. But that's why I'm like, I get it, bro. I get it. I get it. You live your world, I'll live my world. Worlds within worlds, bro. That's why I keep writing that everywhere. It's like worlds within worlds, man. Like you just don't know
Hmm.
what's going on. Like that's their whole. The Yakuza person does not even care about this podcast. The Yakuza person does not even care about like anything. Just cares about that money. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they care about baking, like Brother Soon, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? But
Sure.
what I'm saying is like we are all living different realities stacked on top of the one reality.
Hmm.
Like we're all like, oh, this Earth. It's like, yeah, but there's also like different realities within that Earth. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when these like not to be racist, I'm not being racist. I'm like calling it how it is. When these Asian kids are coming out of the freaking condo that's next to me, that's worth $1 million for like a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom,
Hmm.
and they're like in Lexuses and Porsches and like these crazy, like you remember the cars, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, what's your life like, bro? Like,
Hmm.
what?
Yeah.
To them, they're just like, this is life. And to us, we're like, this is life. But it's
Hmm.
like, your life's not my life, bro.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to remember. And that's why you have to remember the context. Don't judge people. Hitler, your perspective, bro. Dahmer, your perspective, your perspective. We don't have to agree. We can fight to stop you, but like we reserve that right.
Hmm.
And everything comes down to killing. even
Yeah.
though thou shalt not kill.
Yep.
Irony. The world is built on irony.
Mm-hmm. It depends on the context. I think that "thou shalt not kill" probably meant for other Christians to not kill other Christians.
Okay, but totally. But
That's
like,
that's more of a yeah.
but like Christians and Catholics is like, we believe Mary was like a saint. We
Yeah,
believe not.
sure,
Oh,
sure.
kill
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
You're
Well,
like,
that's
oh,
then
bro.
that turns into more specifics, right? So it's like that in a lot of the religion of the books, though. But yeah.
Facts. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't even know. Dude, the more we talk about this world, the more you analyze the world, the more you're just like, what is going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe again, that's why people don't do it. It's like, it's simpler. You know, pay your taxes, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Laws, this is gonna sound so bad. Laws are more like suggestions. Like, if we all want to congregate, we're gonna suggest you don't do this. You don't want to go to jail for life? I
Sure.
suggest you don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to not do that. You can, jaywalk, but realize, or you could speed, but realize there's a speed camera.
Mm-hmm.
But some people are just like, I don't care about the speed camera. It's like $150. Here's my $150. I'm still gonna speed through.
Mm-hmm.
We just suggest you don't do that.
Yeah.
This sounds so dark. Alright, say something positive, bro. Like, it sounds so dark
Well,
when
we
you
did kind of almost end on a positive.
I know we did, but then I brought it to the freaking negative zone. So like,
Uh, there's a lot of. I think that the internet or the tech will save us. I think AI will save us.
or it'll police us, bro, or we'll become like batteries. Like,
Who knows? I don't know. But again, but then there's two sides, right? Which one's the freedom that you're looking for?
and you don't even get into like fake freedom, like determinism. Oh,
Oh
I
yeah.
believe I'm making this choice. No, you're not. You're like, what? Are we gonna end it right now? Because I'm starting to go crazy. All right. Canada's a beautiful place. There you
Yeah,
go.
actually,
You know what? There you go. We're
you
just
know
gonna
what?
end it with a holiday. Canada's a beautiful place, bro. There you go.
Yes.
All right. Till next week, Vish. Enjoy Canada. Because I love the government. I love my paved roads.
Mm-hmm.
I love the peace. I love the buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Till next week. Tasty Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors: Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.